You guys test your audio.
Can you hear
No,
me?
we don't want
Mike, is that you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Are you staying in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of things to share and do in minutes in here.
All right, you ready?
Good to go.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 2:00. Meeting of the Administrative Subcommittee. We'll go around the table. I'm Mayor Todd Lands.
Chris Parker, Chief Police.
Susie Holmes, Finance Director.
Kevin Thompson, City Manager.
Derek Montani, Public Works Director.
And absent today is Vice Chair Morgenstern.
Robert, my identifier.
Sure, Rob Kozlowski, Cloverdale resident.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. We'll go into public comments. Public can speak on any item not listed on the agenda. The only public right now, do you have any items?
Just a couple of thoughts or questions. Will the water and sewer rate increases for this upcoming year, 26-27 fiscal year, be suspended based on the amount of revenue coming in? Would be one question. And then associated with that sort of is, as the solar system started paying for itself, as was advertised when we diverted a lot of we used a lot of the city's water and sewage revenue cash flow to fund what I would consider non-essential projects such as these, instead of using all that money for capital improvements. So that's sort of a comment on the water side. I guess you can't answer because it's a comment, but
We can't, but what we can do is we take the notes and maybe get back to you via email or something. Or
yeah, that'd be
best
best.
if you're on.
Yeah, and then the second thing is on Measure R, I loved seeing the report on DD and other things, which is why I came in. I'd love to see a regular Measure R update like you're doing, I assume with DD, at whatever subcommittee meeting, I guess this one, for example, that'd be great.
And the answer for that, do we know that? We can answer that one. Do you know if we're going to report out on Measure R?
We can, not today.
Not today, but we can start.
I thought it was gonna start because you did a report on Measure R showing what was coming in and what you were spending it on. I remember the David Kelly presented that.
For the utility user tax.
Yeah, well, actually, it used to be Measure U, I think, if it's not the Measure R.
I don't remember what the measure is, but,
It's the utility tax, you charge utilities.
yeah.
And I think over $500,000 came in, and then you showed what it was spent on, like a police officer position for Chris.
I know we do that on our budget updates and things at the main meetings.
Okay,
It's an annual report that we are going to have.
so you're doing an annual Measure R? Okay. And I assume the annual measure, we'll get to that, I guess, with the cannabis here. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Rob, on that. If we don't get back fast enough, remind me,
Okay.
please. Okay, we'll move into approval of minutes.
Just promoted it.
Thank you.
Okay. Approve the August 12th minutes. Anyone
Make
against
motion.
that? Any motion? Anyone against it? Motion passes, thank you. Move on to the business items, finance, sidewalk ordinance. So first,
Yeah, we do have, E-Right from, Zero, right?
Yes.
And he gave a presentation on the potential sidewalk ordinance at the Public Works Subcommittee, and we thought it would be a good idea to bring it to this committee as well. And I don't know, Susan, if you want to give a background, or can you hear us, E-Right, or?
I'm good. Hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
And
You wanna-
Susie, just so you're aware, and Mayor, I do have all the attachments available for sharing. Just let me know when.
thank you.
E-Right, maybe you can just break it down from the beginning. Because I'm not sure everyone here knows what this is, and so you just walk us through it.
Sure. So one thing I was approached by Susie to talk about sidewalk ordinance and mainly transferring liability. So under Streets and Highways Code, it's been existing since almost 1911, somewhere around there, that essentially adjacent property owners are responsible for maintaining their sidewalk in a safe condition. And so the maintenance responsibilities is basically been with the adjacent property owner for years, and it does have some language that basically talks about the superintendent of streets and gives guidance essentially to local public entities on how they can enforce the maintenance responsibility. And so that's been around for a number of years. Now, certain whether cities enforce that maintenance responsibility. Again, it's kind of up to the community, but we've seen more and more that cities are basically now enforcing the streets and highways code, or what they're doing is they're adopting an ordinance that's similar to it, which then they can kind of put their own language and feel of culture, those type of things of how it'll work within their own municipality. And then the other piece of this, even though you can transfer the maintenance responsibilities, if a sidewalk is in a dangerous condition and someone trips and falls, basically the liability still rests with the local municipality, so the city. And so, so if someone doesn't fix their sidewalk, and then they trip and fall, they basically present a claim against the city at that point, and then the city is the one that ends up paying. And then if it reaches to the level higher than the deductible, then CIRA basically ends up paying for that. The test case around developing an ordinance that basically transfers, in addition to the maintenance, the liability responsibility was basically occurred around 2000. It was the city of San Jose. And there's been lots of white papers. League of Cities has actually got a paper on that as well. And so that was the first test case that allows for a city to transfer with appropriate language that is obvious and unambiguous to transfer the liability. And so with CIRA, this is something that we've promoted for years and years. And I would say approximately probably 60%, probably close to 70% of our members currently have an ordinance in place which does exactly that, where they've adopted that. Within the background, the material is provided. I think I did some research, for in your area, Calistoga, Cotati, Napa, Santa Rosa, St. Helena, Yountville, they all have those in place. And then outside of that, Grass Valley and a number of other agencies have that as well. And I would probably say we have at least 2 or 3 other cities besides Cloverdale this year that are actually looking to adopt similar language. And I think part of the rationale for it is, with budgets and, having to fix things and getting sued, we are seeing more litigation. So ever since COVID, I think on the screen it'll show some of the data there, but basically ever since COVID, we've seen almost a doubling of the number of claims of our members. So whereas before we probably had maybe 400 claims a year, we're now seeing 800. We see all the signs of Sweet James on the roadways and any other attorney. And so we are seeing much, much more litigation than we ever have. And the cities are seen as deep pockets when it comes to these things. So the data that I've provided in there within the report for the 59 members in the last, in this case, 10 years, there's been 415 sidewalk claims that basically with a total incurred cost of over $8 million. Now, the data that you see on the table there is actually for the city of Cloverdale. And you'll probably see that, well, there's only 3 claims and the total incurred at this point is $100,000. It's the third one on that table. So while that's not high, and Susie, you can help verify this, but those are all within the last 2 years, right? Or 2.5. So really the city hasn't had any sidewalk claims until recently. And now you're starting to see those claims come and essentially, potentially having to pay. These are, at this point, these claims, nothing has been paid. They're still in the claim process and most likely will probably go to litigation. And at this point, the reserves in total are $100,000 for that, with an average incurred, if you do the 3, it's about $33,000 for those. So so that's with the language. We have templates, and that's what is also in your packet are some of the templates that we provide as far as how to implement a program, how to do from a maintenance, even communicating with the public of what that would look like, model sidewalk ordinance language that you can adopt for that. And then also the one question that comes up, and it came up in the last committee meeting, was, well, what if residents can't pay for it? What are some options of what we can do there? And so many cities have done a program where they provide like a grant fund. They'll put in the budget so much money, which people can apply for. Others have done essentially a zero interest loan to where the residents basically pay for it, and then they can make payments to the city to basically get that done over a period of time as well. So there's different options. there's also the ability to carve out. So not that you necessarily want to do this, but this question came up in the last committee meeting as well. St. Helena, for example, they carve out their main street. So basically all parts of the city with sidewalks, this applies to, except for Main Street. The city maintains responsibility for the maintenance as well as the liability associated with any claims that may occur on their main street. And they've cordoned it off by one street on one side and one street on another side. And so basically there's lots of flexibility in how you want to adopt this. And you can make it as specific, as broad as you want, as well as the issue of street trees. And Sacramento is very conservative that the homeowner is also responsible for any claims involving a street tree. The last thing I would add is that this does not necessarily absolve the city from any liability. If there is some seen as negligence on the part of the city because of an uplift that was a city tree, there could still be some responsibility. But in most cases, what happens is if someone files a claim, the city would reject the claim, and essentially that claim would be tendered to the homeowner, and the homeowner would submit it to their insurance, and pretty much the insurance pays. We haven't received pushback on from insurance on that's part of their property, and they understand the responsibilities, and so Streets and Highways Code is pretty clear on those responsibilities when it comes to that liability. So with that, hopefully I kind of summarized it as well as I could, but happy to answer any questions you may have.
Can you describe how it affects our insurance rates? I think you did at the last meeting.
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily impact as far as the rates from if you don't have an ordinance or not have an ordinance, but it definitely impacts, right, your claims. You're going to have to pay your deductible. Where it does have an impact is your experience modification factor, your XMOD. And so basically you get compared to when we look at the entire pool, how you perform compared to the other member agencies. And so if you start seeing more claims or you're paying more cost, your XMOD may go up to, let's say, I'll just use 1.5. So a 1 XMOD means you're average. You're the same as everyone else. But a 1.5 is basically 50% higher. And whatever that base rate premium is, you're going to pay 50% more premium than the other members. At the same point, let's say you have less losses because you're seeing less claims. And now you have a 0.5 XMOD. Your premium actually goes down 50%. So the XMOD really does have a factor, and that XMOD sticks with you for 5 years. And so as you have bad claims, eventually it takes 5 years to kind of get that tail to drop off. And so you're paying for that increased premium for a number of years after the claim actually occurs.
Well, how did the other cities roll it out to the community? Do you have any, if we want to move forward? I mean, do you have meetings or how do you?
So basically similar to what we're doing right now. A lot of times others have done it where they brought it directly to council for first reading. Probably the one that I was in, Windsor is probably the most recent, closer to your at. Willits is also one that recently did theirs. But with Windsor, I actually participated in their council meeting. That actually went really well. They introduced the concept and talked about the claims and what's going on. They actually have more claims than what you're experiencing, and kind of gave the rationale similar to what we're doing, and basically had that discussion. The reality is this is a political decision for the most part for the city, much more than anything else, because on paper it makes sense. But then you have to deal with the public that says, why are we having to pay for this, and what, this isn't fair, or whatever the case may be. But the way we did it at Windsor, and it actually went pretty well, was to show that when a person has a claim, that $50,000 that's paid, it's the taxpayers that are paying the other person that had a bad sidewalk, that someone else that tripped and fell. And so this is not the insurance company that's getting off not having to pay. It's the taxpayers that are the ones that ultimately are paying for the trip and falls that occur within a city. And once that was explained and presented that way, we actually had more people in favor of the ordinance at Windsor than just the opposite, where people you'd think would be upset with it. There were definitely people that wrote letters and correspondence that were opposed to it, saying this isn't right, the city should be doing this. But I think for those that understood that, when you have increased costs to the city, ultimately it's them paying for it, just and bulk as a, because you guys are self-insured, so.
Who wants to?
I will just, add to, what everything that Eric has said is that in the past 3 months, we've had 3, chip of balls right here on the boulevard and, I know one of them is going to be a pretty hefty one. And maybe it would, and my recommendation would be that we either set up a grant or we say, hey, you need help, we can, you buy the materials and our guys will come out and fix it, or come up with some fashion to where it's not fully on the property owner at first, until you get it fixed, because, I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to get away from the liability of visual.
Garth, want to say something too?
You're right. Do you still have a preferred, contractor like PCC that you guys work with the JPA that provides special, pricing for, even residents that live in the cities that are part of the JPA? Are you guys promoting that in the other cities that have brought this to their council?
Yeah, so actually, Precision Concrete Cutting. Well, they've actually developed a kind of new program. I don't know if this is what you're referring to, but essentially, a lot of the cities will use that to go through and actually do an inventory of the sidewalks that need repair. And they're willing to basically still do that. And actually, in this case, at no cost, with the idea that they would actually send out the notices on behalf of the city saying, hey, this is what we've got going. And if there is enough interest or enough people when they come out to do it to where it's almost like $500 per cut, to basically they will shave or the sidewalk areas that need work, and so they will almost run the program for you. And I can find the flyer that they've sent out, but they've I think Upland and a couple other cities have now adopted that program. And
We're working with them in the city-owned areas to flush out a map. I just didn't know if they were still upholding that special pricing for residents also.
yep, they still are. Yep.
Yeah, that's another option that they'll come through and they'll blanket everything and show us what needs to be cut, what doesn't need to be cut, and put a number to it and put it into kind of chunks of the city in larger projects. And then we can either opt to like set up this grant amount and say this is the granted amount, this is the area we're gonna do each year, and when we get to your area then it gets done. Or we can have, since we have the numbers there and what needs to be cut, we could set up like a application process where a neighborhood says we would like to do our neighborhood. That's an option.
So we had 3 claims. All 3 of them are in the downtown district. It's our lack of maintenance that caused those, correct? Is the tree planting, the roots, the thing that push up sidewalks, most likely. I guess, right? How does that transfer over to a residential neighborhood where there's trees planted and it's our responsibility? Does that homeowner get to cut the tree out of the
We
sidewalk?
did discuss that in the last one. I warned everyone that to be ready for every homeowner to want to get rid of that street tree.
I'll put a damn stop sign on both sides of my sidewalk and say no trespassing. I will shut it down and you guys will sue me because I don't want people on my property that I have to pay insurance for and be responsible for and relieve you from. That's as a homeowner.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna want those street trees cut down that are pushing
Absolutely.
sidewalks, especially if they have to pay to fix the sidewalk.
This to me it sounds like an upheaval to get almost nothing for us. And that's, we can bring it to the council all you guys want, but I think that this is a fight that your low income community that already has high homeowners insurances, if they can even get homeowners insurance right now in our area. And now you're going to increase it because there's no way State Farm's going to say, hey, we're just going to include that. Of course, you let anybody you want on your property walk by your house at any given time. We're going to cover that. It's not going to work that way in my eyes. And if I'm wrong, you're right, please tell me, I mean, that's why you're here, is to sell this. I'm trying to find the good in it for the community, and there isn't any that I can see.
So I can tell you the ones that, and you guys aren't, I mean, from a claim standpoint, you guys are nowhere near, really, I mean, we have one city that has paid, on average, each claim is $400,000. So, and their sidewalks are bad. I mean, they're pushing, part of the reason why they're pushing is they were not able to get a tax increase or whatever, I'm trying to think of the right term, a fee to basically for a road fee to make improvements, and it didn't pass. And so they've spent $4 million in 10 years on sidewalk claims. And they have a police department. They actually have more cost from sidewalk claims than law enforcement claims, which is unheard of in our world. You just don't see that. So they're the extreme example, but that's, to have a claim, the difference between a $50,000 and a $400,000 claim is the way they fall. A broken hip,
Oh, yeah.
all those type of things. So it really, like you said, this is much more of a political decision. And that's the reason why most cities have not pulled the trigger on this is because of that. I would say because of budget recently and all those type of things, that's where we've seen an increase. We've probably seen 6 members in the last couple of years, basically adopt these ordinances. Because it's kind of got time to where it's costing them too much. Especially this other city, their deductible is $500,000. So they're paying every single time is coming out of, then they're not paying a deductible. It is within their deductible.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions or thoughts on, what about existing non-standard sidewalks where the sidewalk is too narrow? Not only do you have tree roots, but you may have improper curves, some are proper curves, some are broken curves, cracked curves, slope curves. The material used, some are proper concrete, others are some kind of cheap asphalt. I mean, you got all these non-standard sidewalks. So if you've had a home, say in Cloverdale for a long time, what recourse, or how do homeowners pay to put it in, or how does the city address that issue? Because there's a curb sidewalk combination there.
So there's kind of 2 different issues that you're talking about. One is, in some ways, the narrow sidewalk and all those are ADA issues, which the city could still be held liable for. And that's separate liability compared to a trip and fall. And the ADA is enforced by the public. It's not something, insurance companies, you actually have to show damages, whereas it's a civil suit for ADA. But the other piece of this is, again, technically, we have cities that don't have areas with sidewalks. There is no requirement that you actually have to have sidewalks, right? Now, where you have sidewalks is typically going to be an ordinance somewhere that basically, you're gonna have a within your municipal code that requires sidewalks. They have to be built to a certain standard, and certain materials and certain slope. And most cities have some type of thing in place, and they've grandfathered it. So most likely you already have something like that. If you don't, it probably goes to Streets and Highways Code. There's some standard somewhere that's a reference as a basis for it. But that's kind of where that goes, and it becomes whether you're enforcing the current ordinance, whether it be through code enforcement or some other means.
And our ordinance does currently state that it is the homeowner's responsibility to maintain. But it doesn't, it just doesn't, pass along the liability. That's all.
So no matter what happens, we're both getting sued for this.
Yes.
So what I can tell you is, so here's the other option technically you could do without doing the ordinance, is under Streets and Highways Code. You could basically, if you give a notice and you follow what's in Streets and Highways Code, that they need to repair, they don't make the repair, the city makes the repair and then puts a lien on their house to get it fixed. Because right now you do have the current ordinance that, one, you have that in place, and also the laws behind you with Streets and Highways Code. And what's also happened, what we found, and this is the thing that, cities may not adopt, or they weren't aware with their Public Works Department, with Streets and Highways Code, they haven't taken the step. One of the cities got a new Public Works director that came from one that did this, and they went to council and they were surprised that people were actually fixing their sidewalks when they were asked to do it. Most of the time, the problem has been no one has ever asked the property owners to do it. And if they were asked or told, this is under the law, you have to do it, most likely they are going to do it on their own. So just got to ask.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's a great
Chief,
alternative.
did you have anything? You haven't spoke up on this one at all? No. Anyone else have anything they want to comment on this? Here's what I would say is if you guys want it to come to council, I don't know what was said in Public Works. So if you guys think that between Public Works and your decisions, you want to come to full council for a vote for something, great, but
You're a no.
I'm a no.
Okay.
But I'll leave it, I'll support whatever decisions you guys make on this.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be in touch with you, right?
Okay.
Thanks for.
Thanks very much for taking the
Sure.
time.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Good.
Is there a similar thing? You mentioned like, I'll call it tree root distortion, you know, where the sidewalk bubbles. What about walking down the street as a tall guy and you're hit by a branch and vegetation's coming in? Is that in the same
Yeah, that-
ordinance or that's a
It's in,
different?
it's in the ordinance, yeah,
Okay.
it has to be.
And then you got
all
vehicles
roadways.
blocking sidewalks and you're
Yeah.
walking with the grandkids, you can't. Gotta go onto the road.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, we good? Yeah, move on to the golf cart ordinance. It's under finance.
Oh, that's not how maybe that one.
You got that one? Yeah, so we talked about putting this in here, I sent an email to Alex, and then we're gonna be discussing it. I did a little bit of research, so far. I would call them to Brentwood, they have a similar, they have no ordinance, for ordinance. I just gotta call back. Okay. Haven't talked to the police department yet, and I pretty much asked. The other voicemail saying, you have this ordinance, how's it going for you? If you had to add or change anything, what would you, as a police department, what would you like to see in there? And so I'm just waiting on the call back on that. I do have a draft ordinance that you can look at. But I should go to Alex. Yeah, obviously to review.
Yeah.
And then the recommendation, I'm sure he's gonna recommend, you guys would have to pass the ordinance. And then you have to identify the routes for the golf course, golf carts. And then you would have to identify, okay, the code says no more than two passengers. You can actually state if you want more than two passengers in a golf cart, they come with 4, 6. And then maybe say something like the manufacturer recommendation, but no more than whatever. So, and then obviously you're gonna identify the safety equipment, we would do that in the ordinance, safety equipment, if you require a driver's license to do so.
Who would do safety inspections or anything like that? Like, or brake light, would that be a CHP thing, or would it be a U thing, so it's not an actual motor vehicle?
So you would identify the safety equipment, and then any violations, there's like the first violation of not following the rules or the ordinance. That's like $100 fine and $200 and $500. And then it would give us the authority to take the golf cart as well. You're not, if they're being unsafe with the golf cart. But it was, I could send it to Alex, and then Alex can make a recommendation from there on how to proceed.
Awesome.
But I think you need to come on the ordinance, and then you have the authority to designate the roadways. And then I just talked to him earlier about, you got a city engineer to say, these are the roadways, and then this is the signage. Then obviously, what does that cost? Right, so.
As a police chief, I know we've talked about it personally, but was this something you would support?
Yeah.
Questions, comments from?
So that only certain roads they could be on, or?
25 miles and under, but the city engineer would have to designate, and then you're gonna have crossing routes. So what is that,
So roads
They
that
can't drive on
25-mile-an-hour speed limits.
Yeah.
But they would have to be identified on the map, and then the crossing routes would have to be identified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about safety, so I was driving down Cloverdale Boulevard heading north, going off the freeway. And a golf cart came flying out of the Ferber Plaza right in front of me, hit the brakes, and he zipped into IRO. E-rock, but IRO.
Yeah.
So one, based on what you said, he shouldn't have been on the board.
Correct.
And two, he shouldn't have crossed there, unless that's a legal place.
Yeah, 3 should have been on golf cart.
Yeah, no, it was.
It's illegal.
Yes, okay.
Correct.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to rat anyone out.
Yeah.
Just interesting the timing of this.
We see them.
And we're not Florida, there's lots of golf carts.
Yeah.
A lot of places they use them a lot, you know, it's a great way to do it in a small town, because find out routes and.
I've gotten a few calls from like Delaware, like the kids, hey, my mom lives in Delaware. Kid, you guys allow golf carts?
This was it seemed like a younger person, probably in his twenties, and just flew across the street.
That's
And he didn't look. I was-
why we're trying to do it right.
It's not gonna be a good spot there.
Yeah. But so we can start with Alex, please.
Before we even see it, it's not worth it until he's done. Thank you. Any other comments on this from you? Thanks for doing this, Jude.
Yeah.
Cannabis revenue update.
Okay, so September 1st, we started our new tax rate. All of the businesses paid their annual fee prorated up until September 1st. So that is now done and gone.
Everyone is up to date.
Everyone is up to date on their annual permit fee.
We got.
One business is still behind on their monthly, but this is to get up.
Are they close?
2 months behind.
But they paid August, but they haven't paid June probably.
No, I don't allow that.
Lord. Okay. Thank
So
you.
only one business, so we're,
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it. Any other questions?
Have you still seen a continued drop? I remember in the data you gave us, 83% drop from 2020 when you had 544,000 to last year at 92,000, which begs the question, do the costs of you and other people's time to keep track of these people that might be slow to pay exceed what we're bringing in? And then where's the money being used? Does that just go to the general fund?
Kevin or Chief, you want to speak to that as to what it costs us and why we're doing it this way versus the other now?
Well, we had I don't know if this is what you're asking or not, Rob, but we had a system where they had to renew their permits every year, and that was initially done, I think, out of apprehension of even having the businesses, so we could check on. But after many years, there really hasn't been any problems that require code enforcement or police. So instead of trying to track them down every year, we just adjusted the amount of tax they paid to cover.
Okay,
It sounds like you know all this already, but
no, that's fair.
Well, and the state does this every year.
Right.
So if they say it's bad, then we don't need to double up.
yeah, that's true.
So it's sort of like a true up you're doing.
yeah, and that 80% that you were talking about, that actually was, one business left the city,
Okay.
and so
So
that's 20% of our,
Yeah, we're not losing. That was the goal.
Good,
With
yeah.
us is not to be losing money.
yeah, I think everyone's expecting a heck of a lot more coming in.
When it first started, absolutely, there was a whole education piece that we had all discussed with, was it Prop 219, is that what it was? Whatever it was back
I
in
remember it was voted for.
215, right? Yeah, but 215.
People like
Yeah,
syntaxes. right?
there was high expectations of creating millionaires really quick, and when that doesn't happen, is, well, do we want to maintain businesses and keep people status quo? Or force what we set up? And so we wanted to just make sure the city was in the black and try to keep it fair to everyone.
You also get a fair amount of money. I know there's like DUIs, right? So that's illegal, whatever. And there's fines for that, maybe jail time. If you're smoking under the influence, is it the same fine, the same?
Yeah, so
Same
it's the same
enforcement?
charge, yeah.
Okay.
We used to be able to, charge the DOI our time. And we had a little check, yeah. We used to be able to, we can't do it.
Because there's a ton of people that smoke Friday and Saturday nights up by the tower. You know, the water tower on Cherry Creek Road, that you can smell it wafting down.
Oh.
That's not. I don't know if you want to send a car every once in a while.
Great little pullout of it.
I'm not during July 4th. That's when we put some chairs to watch the fire.
Maybe we're July.
Yeah, noted.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Susie, thank you for keeping up on that. That's great. Appreciate it. DD tax update.
Okay, so Measure DD, we did get, our true up in August for, June, July. June, yeah, for the last quarter, let's just say that. And,
April, May, June, right?
yeah, April, May, June.
Yeah,
That's
they
it.
came in May, June, July.
Mhm.
That's one quarter.
That's one quarter, yeah,
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So 1.2, oh,
yeah.
what was the original?
1.6 can be,
And this is gonna be what, 9?
1.2,
And it'll fluctuate.
It'll
depending on the pressure. Yeah, so it's not terrible.
it's where we expected it more than what they expected it. Is what I would say. So we knew it was gonna probably be a little less, but
Well, you know, Christmas, it'll go up, so we'll make up.
you still have the summer months because you have August, September, October. So
Yeah.
August, September,
That's-
that's huge down here.
That's encouraging, I'm glad that.
Yeah,
I was
me too.
getting worried, it was much
Yeah.
lower than.
We saw the 47.
We got $5,000.
Next one was
And
60.
that's not going well. As I understand it, the 204,000 is still part of April, May, June, but it's
It is.
when we got the payment because they do it quarterly,
Right.
versus- and that's just how much we've gotten on those funds.
We should get used to that bigger month at the end.
Yes.
The quarterly.
Yeah, well, and they'll probably give so they say, we think you're gonna get this much, and so we'll give you this, and then you have a true up. A true up at the end of the quarter, so now that they know what we're getting, probably our monthly amount will go up a little bit.
Hello.
What would be nice now is with Kevin and Derek, you guys want to start figuring out, say you're getting $1 million a year. Let's get some stuff out of these. people.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the Public Works Subcommittee, was gonna get a list of roads and possible projects and stuff. But we can bring that straight to the council if you want to, the subcommittees.
If we can't, yeah, it'd be
Maybe,
great.
if you're okay with it, unless you wanna do something more urgently after one more quarter, or we can just agendize this, and start talking about it, maybe
Well,
do
if you
that
go one more quarter, you're going to be in
January.
January, February, when you're not being able to do any paving. Most likely.
No, we have to decide now whether we're
Well,
in pay
let's put it-
next year.
Let's put an item on the council then, just to talk about this and our approach.
And I'm sure there's
You would do that.
some easy wins that we can do for people to show their money being used.
Yeah, just lately I've seen people out working in the streets, so just by doing that, we think finally our tax money is being applied. That's, and it's not just me, but there's guys and gals in the street.
They've been doing a lot of work and it's showing, and that's what I wanna keep going.
We
is showing
really
it.
haven't even touched
I'm
it
recommending
yet.
sidewalks.
That, yeah, okay, so that is something you can think about, is do we create a little coffer for that to save for sidewalk repairs and things as well?
Yeah.
You know, but that's something you guys can think about and bring to council
You want it on the meeting of the 8th, October 8th?
whenever you want it, whenever you're ready is when I think that we should start showing as soon as possible for people. I
I don't know
mean,
if we should make some of those signs like funded by
Mhm,
yeah, for
state
sure.
funds.
mhm.
We do that for Measure M, we do that for the.
With side
tax
tax
bills from him.
Even if there's an aprons that you set out there for a week and take
Yeah,
a
yeah.
picture, it's still, it shows.
I can have some of those today.
I would recommend October 22nd, just because the Ford calendar is very booked for the 8th.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks, Michael.
what? October 22nd.
Okay.
I think
22nd for what? That number's not
Kurt's bringing that truth down.
Yeah, for paving or street leaf. Yeah.
First week. First week.
You got your wider streets, so we got the bike lanes, golf cart lanes, motor scooter lanes,
All right, anything else?
walker lanes.
All right, next is the water leak adjustment policy.
Okay, so this is something that I'm planning to bring to the council meeting tomorrow night, but I just want to bring it here first for first touch. We typically increase our water leak based on the increase in the water, rates. And we previously had, a water leak adjustment. It's a one-time we had 410. I'm recommending that we increase that, to 460. And then the only other change in the policy was to say that the adjustment rests solely with the finance director instead of manager. We typically see about 3 to 5 leak adjustments a month. Very rarely do they hit the max. They're usually around $200, so yeah, this wouldn't even affect that, but on occasion, there are a few that do hit that if they have a major leak. And it's just a way to help.
So that's 7 to 10,000 a year total.
Mhm.
Um,
It's about a $500 increase.
and are we budgeting enough for that?
Yes.
Okay, great, awesome.
Well,
Well,
do they have to submit like a plumber's report or something?
They
or-
do, so attached is the leak adjustment request, and then they have to give a description, and then they give copies of any materials or services related to the repair. And once we know that that's been, because we can see their water usage. Once we know that it's been corrected, then we go back and figure out how much they're how much we can get them. Mhm.
perfect.
Thanks.
Questions, comments?
Is this similar to, remember that we did a lot of analysis on water and there was a lot of leaks, so we couldn't get revenue because there was not only their homeowners, but we couldn't find out where the leaks were, so we lost revenue for that. Some owners had no meters, so now they have meters with smart meters,
Yeah.
so have you seen a major drop in the loss of revenue due to leaked water, if that's the right way to say it?
Yeah, so I think one of the issues too is that as the meters get older, they get slower, right? So they don't report accurately. They never go faster as they get older, but I think we're getting more accurate results now, and before we might have missed some that.
Yeah, because I heard of stories that they had meters, but they weren't actually working. So you end up never getting water bill, except for the baseline.
Yeah, we would go out and manually read those, but some of them were like behind locked fences or had dogs in the yard, and so it was a little difficult at one point, but now all of that has been practiced. Good.
Anything else? Awesome. Park maintenance position?
Yeah, so this is, we wanna hire another guy for parks, and we wanna fund it using Measure M, which we receive 135,000 a year. Currently, we split that in half, to buy stuff for the parks, and the other half is for a part-time person. We're proposing that we use the entirety of the 135 to hire like a maintenance worker one. And then because we do have a lot of impact fees that we've been using to fix up the parks, and there's still a good balance there. So it seems like it would make more sense, at least in my mind, to use the entirety of Measure M to fund another parks person. We got the open space coming on, the dog park, I mean, everything's been. So it really doesn't hit the general fund, and so that's the pitch.
Well, and if you look at what we've done over the past 5 years, we have really added to our park system.
Yeah.
And we haven't added the staff to take care of it.
And when the open space opens, I mean,
Oh, another 200 acres?
that's, I mean, if everyone's okay with that, we'll probably, before the end of the year, try to get that moving.
We've been talking about it for years, so I think we knew it's coming. I don't think anyone's gonna push back, but looking forward to seeing it on council.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from anyone? All right, department report.
I don't have any more reports.
Awesome. Thank you, Suzie. Community development, Aston Road parking.
Yeah, I don't have any update on that. I know we're gonna have to, given the Austin Road apartments coming on, we're gonna have to figure out the parking out there. I mean, I don't know if the direction is to just mark it all red, or do we want to allow street? I don't know. I mean, we should probably take a closer look. I apologize, I don't really have a big update, but I know what we're trying to do, and it's gonna be, they're gonna be calling for finals probably in the next 6 months, so we'll.
Please take into consideration the speed on that road, the logging trucks on that road, and the lack of crossing and visibility. I would absolutely, if it's up to me, I would have it red one end to the other.
Did they agree to?
A crosswalk.
There's a crosswalk.
They did, they're putting a crosswalk in
Where
where the sidewalk comes going north and ends And then the sidewalk on the west side starts up, so they're gonna have a connection there.
Is that near First Street?
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
because First Street is one of those illegal sidewalks, right? I would
Yes.
say.
We're working on that right now.
Okay, and because one of the issues when they justified that place under the TOD, right, the transit-oriented development to justify it. They were concerned about school children and proper crosswalks and safety, which,
yeah,
I'm assuming that,
so it's gonna cross Osti.
right,
At the end of the sidewalk they're constructing to the current
Sure.
sidewalk on the west side.
okay.
And then we're working on another sidewalk on First Street.
Street, yeah.
There's a missing patch there.
So if you guys were thinking about doing parking there, I would keep that crosswalk and visibility and all that in consideration, but.
I'm not sure if there's even a room to do parking on the.
There's no real progress, it's just kind of, doesn't it just, so,
Yeah.
There's sidewalk.
we gotta put signs up, I guess.
Mhm.
Can you do gas and overload parking over at the train station that, you know, down the road?
What, the state wants it, they have to live within their means, it is what it is. Okay, anything else? Lighter property timeframes.
So we're gonna be taking to council on the 24th, the CEQA document. It's all done. And then we've got, Hector's got all the contractors lined up to start the following week. So it's gonna take a month or a month and a half, I mean, optimistically. And it'll be open. So there is, potential for, endangered species in certain areas of that, so we aren't gonna be able to complete the entire trail system until they conduct a survey in the spring to determine if this, frog and turtle are up there. Unlikely. It'll be 98% there. But we have to do that survey in the spring, once it's wet, and then once they determine it's not there, we finish. But the good news is it should be open. I mean, I don't wanna get ahead of myself here, but it should be open this year. It should be open in November. I mean, middle of November. I mean, like I said, Hector's got contractors lined up to do the parking lot, and we've got the Redwood Trail Alliance. They're gearing up. They've already mapped it. They know what they're doing. They're gonna mobilize the day after the council meeting.
Is Redwood Trail county or state?
It's a private
Private
organization. Redwood Trail Alliance, they develop the trails at Porterfield. They do.
Okay.
They're certified to do all those.
Yeah, the guy's a retired engineer and, yeah, trail guy.
Right, any department reports?
I have no report.
Still see nobody up on the screen, just make sure that people know that we are paying attention. Police personnel update.
Let's see. I have 3 in training and 1 on medical leave, which is 4 technically, or 4 down on the street. Other than that, we're staff, with numbers wise. We should be getting the 2 there in the academy out in training and the field training in December. And then the 1 we have in training now should be out in November.
Good, fingers crossed.
And the 1 on the medical leave.
Play it as it goes.
Yeah.
All right, any questions? Police station upgrades.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring this back, because we still have that, architect that was, architect drawing rendering that was done. For Los Druas and Gooseberry, they're now called something else. For the Towers property, they still haven't presented what they came up with the council. And maybe that's an opportunity for them to, and he was willing to come back. And present it. Maybe it's an opportunity for the council to say whatever you wanted to do. Whether you look at this place or move forward with that with a reduced footprint or something. I know that the community part of that facility was really, good. It was good with the body, where they had the community center right attached to it, and but anyway, so I'm just asking what direction you guys would like to go with that.
The price could potentially go down a little bit over there if we're working with Alexander Valley, we get that road. And we move that storm drain. You know, what
I
I'm
do.
talking about
Yep.
on our remaining parcel, which we have that funding source potentially for that. So I don't know how much that factors in.
Yeah, I would love to see a cost breakdown. It's current and whatever you could look at and kind of minimize all before we even see it again, maybe. I think that'd be great because if you sticker shock people, you might put them off too fast.
Yeah.
I think that if we minimize it a little bit now and then take apart what Kevin's talking about and be able to pull that out of it.
Yeah, so I think that there's gonna be some costs associated with that, which you could probably approve. Because they'll have to go back and we do have the one where he reduced it to 10 mil that he said was doable at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, some of the site stuff is gonna be done with Alexander Valley, different funding source.
Yeah.
So then if we have one that's at 10 mil,
If it was 10.
could we get copies of that? And look at that and put this back on the agenda for our next meeting, so we can kind of.
Yeah, it was just a memo from him. We asked him, can you get it done to 10 to 15 or something?
Do you think he could come to this meeting?
He could. He said he was willing to come and talk about it at the council.
I mean,
Or
emails
just-
are 100% on board for getting something done.
Yeah.
And the best way to do it is to buy new instead of putting 5 mil into this piece of junk over here. It's such a waste of money on a brick building that's 100 years old.
Well, especially if we get a community area in there where we can have our council meetings and we
Yeah.
can do that.
But that's what made it so expensive though, right?
It was a lot of it was a couple mil on holding cells and which they got rid of and, just the whole, there are certain standards for, protecting from it, because it's a police facility. Which makes.
Did you guys have the Sally port and stuff in that one because of the holding cells?
We did have a secured Sally port. It was kind of a dual, Sally port and evidence. So, which is always nice to have.
Absolutely. I'm not against, I'm just.
Yeah, yeah.
trying to-
Yeah, there
And
was,
I-
and then we reduced it to more of a pension area, along with the Sally port. Secured parking and. With the potential, the city hall going next door to that. So.
And then we can factor in if, then, if we do this, then we can sell that or do really something different with that too. So just an idea of ways to keep it funding and keep money going and yes, keep people positive.
Mhm.
I'd love to see whatever you guys can present, because I want this to happen. I want it to happen 5 years ago.
Yeah.
15 years ago.
Yeah, it's not gonna get it cheaper.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And I think that showing DD money, coming in, showing where it goes, showing the parks and the updates that we've been doing.
Yeah.
The community is very happy. We're one of the only ones in the county that are happy. And so I
Yeah,
think that,
because the DD, sorry to interrupt, Tom. And I even voted for the tax increase on the sales tax because it emphasized safety, parks and roads.
Yeah.
And those things, I think most voters, that sticks in their mind. So if you present DD in that light would be great.
and not only present it, but we can show 100%, look, this is where it's going, not just showing it, but when people say, hey, how come your budget's in the red and you're doing this? Well, that's because that's where your money's supposed to go, 100%, and even if we're not in the red, it's nice to show that.
Yeah.
And find, let's just give them the wins that they deserve, thank for it, and make people happy, and they'll wanna put more like we did at schools. I mean, they told me Measure H would never pass in the schools, and it passed with flying colors, but because everybody was happy with the first upgrades. It's the same with this, if we just keep showing, it's not about the taxes, it's about people being happy with what they're paying for.
Yes.
So,
I mean, so I'll follow up with them.
awesome.
And then, so we can get something on.
That's an interesting question. Have Nina at the Chamber of Commerce is still doing that little. How's she doing in terms of promoting business, get more people in here, which then raises our tax base, which means.
She's doing amazing. She's doing amazing, yeah, it's great, they do a really good job over there. I know that she pushes on the empty building, she pushes on people, she does everything she can, she promotes with all the other chambers and things in the area, so, yeah.
Because what I've observed, some business leaves or folds and another one replaces, like in Ferber Plaza, the Tog.
Mhm.
Down there.
Right.
Debbie's boutique is up there, who we used to use Mary San Lowe's, and now she came to us this time, so, which is really good.
Department report, anything?
Just one of the major things we got done last council meeting was the JDS EOC exercise training folks. That is rolling right along. We have an exercise scheduled with the Department of Emergency Management, with the county, Hillsborough, and Windsor. Where it'll be obviously some major incident that we have to work through. All staff has a set of trainings they need to attend prior to. We're getting some of the equipment there, we just put in the dry race boards just today, and getting more stuff to prepare for that, so we can move it right along and be ready to go if something happens, so.
You guys have been doing a great job. You're all appreciated. We'll be very ready.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, HR report.
I can just, we're currently working through the, job descriptions for, classified. So Jan's been working on that, and we've been working with Darren, union rep, so. Nothing too earth shattering, but that's probably one of the bigger initiatives we're trying to be done for next few months.
City clerk, office report.
I don't have anything for this subcommittee.
Great, thank you. No city attorney here, so we'll move on to city manager. Anything else?
Just real quickly, I mentioned that UC Berkeley team is gonna be coming up. So I'll be meeting them Friday at 11 o'clock out at the plaza, and they're gonna be doing a design studio. It's a grad class for the train station area. So if anyone wants to come out there, we'll be out there. And that's it. Friday. It was Friday or Saturday, so I picked Friday.
Well, Friday, we had the Latino Heritage event, City Center, we'll be out there. You want to join us after?
Perfect. Busy for me. Every day is busy. Shannon, you were quiet. Do you have anything for us?
Do not. I think Kevin covered it with the job descriptions. So, thank you.
All right, any future agenda items?
Mayor, is there anything on this list that you are no longer wanting on the agenda? For the next meeting? I heard that you wanted to continue to keep the police station upgrades. Is that correct?
I want to keep that one, but I think that we can eliminate Aston Road and Lighter property until something's updated. There's no reason for that. The sidewalk ordinance, golf cart ordinance, all this can go. I think cannabis can go unless there's something major that pops up, because it's steady and we know it's in the black and we're good to go. Measure DD, I don't think we need an update until about 3 months from now. I think if you're comfortable quarterly, something changes, let us know.
Okay.
Water leak, nothing there. I think that's great. It's gonna go to council. The park maintenance position, that's gone. There's nothing left on your agenda for next meeting, Mike.
What I like to hear.
All right, anything else, guys? Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Meeting adjourned 2:59. How beautiful is that?
Right.
Good.